Hey there everyone, and welcome to another video. I'm Cassandra from CassandraTindall.com, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Venus's upcoming tour of Virgo, which is from July 22 through to about August 17. So before we get started, I just want to acknowledge in advance, I'm doing this video sort of off the cuff without some help or support from my sound guy. So apologies if it is not of the best audio quality. Also, I was MIA for a couple of weeks off the channel, so I usually try and put a video out about once a week. But as that new moon was in Cancer, was still in the dark moon phase, my mum was welcomed by our ancestors into the afterlife. So I just need a little bit of time off the camera, but doing a quick video for you now. A part of the new moon in Cancer was I wanted to sort of celebrate that. No North Node or eclipse action with the new moon in Cancer, no Saturn in Capricorn to impede it. So it was a pretty good lunation from that standpoint. And usually when there's some good astro, I do like to try and do a little sale on my consultations. So until the end of July, you can save 20% on my two primary consults, which is the natal chart and the annual update. So if you go over to the website, I'll pop a link below and you can save 20% by using the code July20 through until the end of the month. So it'd be great to share some astrology with you. So Venus in Virgo. So one thing you might notice if you are a little bit of a planet tracker is that Venus is about to enter Virgo and the Sun is about to enter Leo. So what that tells us is that Virgo is ahead of the Sun. And when that happens, so Venus is ahead of the Sun. And so what that will tell us is that we'll know with that is that Venus is coming up for a retrograde phase. That will happen in December. Venus will retrograde in Capricorn, conjoin Pluto in December, but we'll get to that later. But that's just a little bit of a technical trick for you if you do see a planet like Venus ahead of the Sun. We know a retrograde is coming up. Venus is also considered to be in her fall or depression when she's in Virgo. So sometimes Venus in Virgo gets a little bit of a bad rap, and I don't think that is deserving, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and why this particular transit may be a little bit nicer than our average Venus in Virgo tour. And that is because the first aspect she'll make as she moves through Virgo is to oppose Jupiter in Pisces. But before we get there, what I thought I would do is let's sort of break down Venus, let's break down Virgo and Mercury and why, what we can expect out of Venus in Virgo. So when we look at Venus, we need to, as all planets move through signs, they will kind of enter areas that are sometimes friendly to the planet and sometimes a little bit different. So when we think about Venus, Venus is our primary planet of relationship. She is harmonious, beautiful, graceful. She's looking to make connections, to seek attraction, to magnetize, to pull in, to draw in. So when I say she, I'm just using that as more of a archetypal term. Men, women, our non-binary folks, we all have Venusian components to our nature. It's not a gender issue, it's just an archetypal one. So we all have this more feminine side to us, or a side that is about attraction, about desire, about lust. We all have parts of us that seek harmony and beauty and compromise and wanting to accommodate other people so we can have a certain level of ease or flow. So Venus, I've said this before many times, she's the eggs and the milk to our dry ingredients when we're making our Sunday morning pancakes. So Venus is the connector, the compromiser. She's sort of sweet and Moorish and lusty. So she is that, that smells good, or oh, that looks beautiful, or that feels nice. So she's that sort of principle of things that are subjectively beautiful, objectively beautiful, objectively clean, or universally considered attractive. And then, of course, we all have the subjective components of what we individually think is attractive. Enter Virgo. So Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Virgo is a cold, dry earth sign. So Venus is being Venus, Venus gonna Venus, and she's gonna try and do that within the parameters or within the environment that Mercury provides. And while Mercury is the ruling sign of Virgo, so she's trying to do it in a cold, dry, and earthy way. And so who is Mercury? Mercury is the messenger. Mercury is more of a separative kind of planet, not in the way that Mars separates, but more this destructive force that wants to kind of pull pieces apart and analyze and decipher and discern. And through pulling apart the pieces, the desire is to make better or to improve or perfect them in some way. So Mercury is primarily about speech, about communication, our rational or cognitive components of our lives. It tends to be more skeptical or trickster in its expression as well. So Mercury is that archetypal messenger, the psychopomp or the trickster. Mercury is also the mythical figure Hermes Trismegistus, who was the founder of astrology and was the messenger of the gods, but not the messenger in of itself. So when we put these two archetypes together, Venus, the primary planet of relationship and connectivity, with Mercury and Virgo's expression in Mercury's expression in Virgo, we're trying to maybe analyze or decipher or pull apart the concept of relationships in our own lives. And I actually got this idea, and I thought this was so Venus in Virgo, through someone I follow online, Rachel Rogers. She has a company called Hello 7, and she was talking about the annual Friends review in one of her podcasts. And this might be the time of year where you maybe not necessarily review your friends, although that could be a thing, but maybe review in your life what is beautiful, what is harmonious to you, what parts of your life bring you increased comfort, ease, and joy, Venus, and which things don't. And what's the really curious thing about this particular transit is that as Venus enters Virgo, the first aspect she's going to make is to oppose Jupiter. So the interesting part about this is that Venus finds its exaltation in Pisces. And so it's almost like just as Jupiter is moving to go back into Aquarius, we might talk about that more next week when it happens, it's almost like Jupiter is giving Venus a little bit of a torch or a signal. As we'd say in Australia, she'll be right, mate, you got this, and giving Venus a little bit of a leg up. So, or maybe when I say a leg up, I mean Venus in Virgo can sometimes be a little bit of a wet blanket or looks a gift horse in the mouth with things that are about beauty or pleasure or generosity. Whereas Jupiter coming along, it's almost saying, you got this, Venus. I know you're going through some territory you don't really like now, but stay maybe true to truth or true to purpose or true to what inspires or moves you. So this Venus in Virgo transit, to me, is a really great opportunity for the next not quite a full month to maybe do a review of your Jupiter in Pisces transit. If you're not sure what that means for you, I'll put a signal thing up here where you can look at a link to the video of Jupiter in Pisces through the houses in your birth chart. And that might give you a little bit of an idea of how you can maybe analyze the last sort of 8 to 10 weeks and what were the good takeaways What things would you maybe change or improve? What can you do better? So when Venus is in Virgo, she is looking to Mercury. And Mercury is a planet that is also about skill. It's about discernment. It's about information, trades, learning things, working with the hands, asking questions, getting new information, having the conversations, getting that new knowledge, and not just obtaining the information, but also pulling it apart and analyzing it and deeply understanding it. So even though the Jupiter and Pisces transit has been beautiful in its own way, it can be quite overwhelming, and it can be quite like a flood of emotion or an avalanche of feelings. Venus in Virgo can help us maybe just take that little bit of a step back and gain some perspective on the last couple of months. And as she gets that nod from Jupiter upon her entry and upon Jupiter's exit into Aquarius, it might help us make some improvements, not just for improvement's sake, but for maybe better relationships down the track, or better Jupiter and Pisces opportunities, which will be a big part of 2022. So that is a big part of the next 3 weeks. One thing I wanted to also touch on is that when we look at Mercury in Virgo, as I mentioned, it's cold, it's dry, and it's the earthy expression of Mercury. So when we have the coldness of Virgo, it is a lack of action and a lack of movement. So there may be more stillness required, more reflection. And when we're still, we can maybe get those messages or those intuitions or those insights that we couldn't get when we were maybe in a hotter sign like Leo. The dryness in astrology also speaks to being separate and discerning. So you might find this Venus in Virgo period is a little bit more stepping back or stepping away from social engagements. There may be literal separateness depending on where you are in the world in terms of lockdowns or social distancing and those type of things. And the earth expression of Venus through Virgo is a more practical and methodic relationship to relationships. So the idea here is kind of losing my train of thought. The idea here is how can we step away and take a bit more of a practical or discerning or pragmatic response to that really inspired vision or those hopes for the future that was promised with Jupiter in Pisces. So in general, when we look to Venus in Virgo, there are some, like all planets in variety of signs, there are perhaps some of the shortcomings and some of the potentials that can play out. So in general, a couple of things to watch for over the next three-ish weeks is that Venus in Virgo can be very useful in deciphering what your desires are, what your wants are. Venus in Virgo is happy to say, no, I don't want that, or no, that's okay, but if we can do this, this, or this and improve it in some way, it might be better. But this also brings an awareness of problems. And this is where sometimes that nitpicking or that overly analyzing component of Virgo can come in, which in a relationship, warts and all can sometimes be ideal, but it's always not practical or pragmatic or even wise. So sometimes that step back, we can look at what's working and what's not, what problems. And this is the idea of doing some type of relationship review. So it might be a really great idea to check in with a friend, a partner, or even just looking at the house that Virgo is in. For me, for example, Virgo is my 4th house. So I might be doing a big cleanup I might start to think, okay, I know I actually would like to move from where I am. What's working for me? What's not? Where would I like to be? What are my desires? What things are not so great? And sort of, maybe getting practical about that vision for the future, writing it down, making a list, and that sort of thing as well. So this can help you get more rational and practical as opposed to hopeful and wishy-washy or inspired without direction or inspired without a plan. So Venus in Virgo can help us really take that Jupiter in Pisces plan or vision or hope and bring it down into sort of practical action. But I love how there's this opposition that takes place. Venus enters Virgo, Jupiter exits Pisces. So it's almost this not all hope is gone, not all is lost. And Venus in Virgo is just helping us get that little bit more tangible or practical about an inspired dream for the future. So as I mentioned, it's in my 4th house. And one thing that is on my Virgo to-do list to do is to actually boost my ancestral altar. I need to do that now. And so one of the things that Venus does rule is ritual and things of beauty and harmony. So I really do have this vision of how I want to sort of create my ancestor altar, how I want it to evoke, which is very Venus, how I really want it to evoke something in my home in a practical, tangible way that helps sort of connect or heal in that Jupiter and Pisces way through the top of my chart and the 10th house. So that's a few ideas on how this tour of Venus in Virgo can work. It is about practicality, seeing what is real as opposed to what is hopeful, but not throwing out the baby with the bathwater and thinking, yeah, this is the problem, but what can we do to fix it or to improve it or to make it better in some way? So I'd love to know what you're looking forward to or maybe not looking forward to about Venus in Virgo, and how you might be able to see how it's playing in to the Jupiter in Pisces transit that is all but ended, at least until now. It will come back to Pisces at the very end of December. So I'd love to know in the comments below what you're looking forward to. And of course, I'd love to have you take me up on a 20% offer on my consultations as well. There's the Golden Circle membership and a lot of other things on offer too. So you're welcome to go check out my website, sign up for a consultation, my membership. And if you like this channel and these type of videos and would love to see more of them, please feel free to hit that subscribe button somewhere on this page, wherever it is. All right, until next time, and I'll love to see you soon.